Drop a comment with your own two cents in the comments down below, so that we can incorporate your own 2 pennies into the 2 Penny Games cast. Specifically this week on our Wait, Borderlands 4 looks good video, the laughable 37 says Borderlands 4 looks awesome and looks so fun, but because of the terms of service at the moment by Take-Two, I don't know if I will be buying it. What are you talking about?
Terms of service.
What is wrong with the terms of service? I did see someone reply to it and be like, it's something about you can't sue them because you agreed to the terms of service in a video game. But why are you suing them for playing a video game?
Because Randy Pitchford, you know what? Usually I say, Randy Pitchford is a pedophile.
Right.
Because there's a story of, this is not connected to the YouTube comment at all, I'm sorry. But I was wrong. I was wrong.
Oh, you're wrong.
I was wrong because it turns out that there was basically there was a lawsuit or there was like a settlement or something like that, and both parties, whoever they were, admitted that it was a misunderstanding. That it was not child porn that he left on a USB at a medieval times.
Yeah, it was barely legal 18-year-old porn.
Yeah, but I mean, even then it seems like it's kind of contentious whether that's actually true.
Anybody who watches porn with barely legal anything in it wants to go lower.
Chances are they want to go lower.
No, they want to go lower.
What is this? Oh, so now being a pedophile is just not being a pedophile, but you kind of are a pedophile? Not even kind of. You aren't even a pedophile at that point because
you're fucking gross.
But aside from that,
Connor, me at 27, I'm going nowhere near an 18-year-old.
Fair enough.
Nowhere near an 18-year-old.
But it's not.
That's a child.
He wasn't doing it in reality either. That's the kid thing.
I'm not jerking off to 18-year-old porn either.
You could do what you please at that point. Who cares? I don't care. And that doesn't even seem like that was true. The only thing that seems likely is that he sexually assaulted the Claptrap voice actor. So he's still a scumbag. But, it's a different kind of scumbag, admittedly.
All
so
of this to say,
Randy Pitchford.
All of this to say, the laughable 37, there's a lot of reasons to not play a Borderlands game. I don't know if your reason's one of them.
Terms of service.
Moving over to our second audience 2 penny here, and one of which I'm going to berate you for being a fucking moron. Not you, Connor.
Do anything.
But these other people. On our We Need Your Help, Games Media is Dying video, BX Panda 7 says, between the false reporting, snarky millennial writing style, the useless articles about nothing, and the agenda pushing, what exactly is there to save? If the reporters can't write good articles worth reading, they should go out of business? Now, first of all of our comments in that video were along those same lines of thought. To which I reply, what the fuck are you guys reading?
Yeah, that was the thing I was thinking about over this past week. So, here's the way I see it, right? These are the same kinds of people who still, years after the fact, think of things like Gamergate. Now, I'm not going to bother. I could try and explain what Gamergate was, but in the spirit of, what I'm trying to say, I'm not going to. Because it's a thing that occurred years ago with some, it was a conversation because there was someone possibly sleeping with a game developer for review purposes. Whether that's actually true, because you had two parties that were kind of saying, no, that didn't happen.
And the response to it is ridiculous.
Yes. To the point where years later, people still act like that's a thing that should be relevantly talked about. Even, admittedly, both sides. The people who are going to be the subject of this conversation. And some other people, like, for example, we very often bring up the pieces of a big games journalist named Jason Schreier. He is on, I've seen, more so when he was more active on Twitter. He might have left it by now, because I haven't really seen many posts from him
I'm not on
there
Twitter,
anymore.
so I couldn't tell you.
I know a lot of games journalists did move away from that platform, and he would bring it up, not all the time, but he would bring it up consistently enough.
I mean, in the few moments that I've seen him talk about that, it's only in reference to what we're doing right now, where it's like, there's a bunch of incel losers on the internet, like you, BX Panda, who just will not let these things go, and who just have this really warped reality of games journalism and what it is, and they just sit in their shell and believe these things that they believe, but they don't have any actual proof to back that up, or they don't have any actual examples to back that up. There's a million reasons to have an issue with games journalism, right? It's based in consumerism. It's basically just extra marketing for these big publishers and companies. And a lot of it does have a lot of fluff, a lot of top 10 lists that don't need to be top 10 lists. And a lot of rage baiting opinion pieces where they say, oh, this game that everyone says is bad is actually good. And there's a lot of that, right? And a lot of it's stupid. But a lot of it is also supposed to be stupid. But I don't understand how that is connected to Giant Bomb and Polygon, who, though Polygon did engage in a lot of those trashy lists, fast food level journalism that I'm talking about, they did still put out a lot of good work. We would cite Polygon a lot on this show and talk about it and have really in-depth discussions based off of a lot of the hard workers at Polygon. That's the thing is, everybody wants to say it's lazy, but there's so much like that just doesn't get credited for the actual good work that gets done.
Yeah, and I will just touch again on it because I wanted to say it real quick. Going back to the Gamergate thing,
yeah,
Jason Schreier does randomly bring it up in context where he's not criticizing somebody else, because there is, especially on the games media sides, certain figures who are still hung up over that, and he seems to be one of them. And
it's an example of these fucking losers on the internet taking things way too far.
And that's the other aspect of it, which is, I can't help but think the people who usually comment on this and, like the comments on the post itself, see certain articles, because I have seen, like, baity articles, that you can have issue with, right? Usually, very often, they involve politics in some way, shape, or form, but very often, it's an opinion piece. And they aren't very common, either. In the grand scheme of what games journalism is, it isn't really that, So I can't help but think, especially in the age of social media, where we're shown posts that we interact with, people will go down a pipeline where they'll be interacting with these rarely stupid articles, and then they'll constantly get these things shoved in front of them. And because people can't perceive that that's how the media space works online, they go, well, this is what games journalism is. Because as somebody who, for the longest time, didn't really read a lot of games journalism until, honestly, fairly recently, I only really saw those kinds of articles, the stupid ones. But when I started reading articles just commonly, consistently,
a lot of good work.
That.
Yeah,
it's very often just like basic reporting of things.
I mean, so much of the media, so much of journalism in this space is just X game is coming out January whatever, or here's our review of Y game in Series X that have had a dozen entries in a franchise or whatever. And I think a lot of people do a lot of like generalization. They think that one website is one personality, when in reality it's a cornucopia of personalities. And very often it's like, oh, this great, awesome game of the year only got like a 7 or an 8 from IGN, whereas Call of Duty got a 9. How does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is that that's two different reviewers with two different backgrounds, reviewing two different games for two different purposes, right? And so they don't take those things into account. They just look at the numbers, generalize it, and say the whole website is trash.
And that's a criticism you can say in terms of the scoring landscape, because there's just a variety of different individual people that you're not really getting a hard line score.
Well, that's why I think scoring is stupid.
Yeah, and you can kind of just acknowledge that and move
in
past
general,
it.
not just in video games. Like putting a score on something. I understand the shorthand of it, of like judging quality and how that's useful, when you say the game's like a 6 out of 10, then it's not that great, but it's not like atrociously bad either, right? Or if I say a game's like a 9, you're like, oh, I should probably play this right away, right? But that eliminates all of the context from the conversation.
Yes.
What about that game is good? Why is it good? If I'm to recommend it to you, Connor Elliott, I need to talk about XYZ thing, not just the fact that it's a 9 out of 10.
When you talk about art, putting it into a mathematical formula to a numbers game is very redundant at the end of the day. You
100%.
miss out on a lot of the complexities of what a game is, which can't really be conceptualized or dumbed down to a number.
Right.
It's just kind of a waste. You shouldn't bother doing it. Same kind of way goes for Steam reviews, where it's like a thumbs down or a thumbs up. It's just, that's it. There's a lot of, you have to read somebody's comments to get the actual details of what makes a game a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
There was a comment, maybe we talked about it on the show, but I don't think we did. There was a comment on one of our videos. It was like one of our reviews or something. And they went, yeah, I'm not going to listen to a bunch of guys on the internet. I'm going to listen to Steam reviews. And I was like, that's what Steam reviews are. They're guys on the internet, like just going, yeah, I liked it. No, I didn't. Like, that's it. Like, yeah. I don't understand. Like, yeah. So a lot of this.
And I remember commenting that to say, just read the reviews themselves then, rather than just whether thumbs up or thumbs down, because that's how you could tell when somebody either knows what they're talking about or is someone that you would trust based off what they focus on when they're talking about a game.
All that to say, BX Panda 7, you should read more.
If you do that, I guarantee you'll realize That's kind of your own biases coming in the same way you're criticizing biases in games journalism.
See, you're being nice. I'm saying he's an idiot.
Yeah, well, if he actually reads into it and he has the same opinion, I'd call you an idiot. Feel like you're kind of diving into
Especially because it's like,
anti-logic.
if it's not harmful or spreading hate speech or like tearing like somebody down unnecessarily. Also, what is millennial styled writing? What does that even mean?
I'm guessing
The writing of someone in their late 30s?
I have a feeling they're trying to say, because there is some weird thing that more younger people do, which is the issue where his saying millennials aren't really younger people anymore.
No.
I'm guessing it's the changing of certain words. Like the one I always go to is homeless people to unhoused. Is there a reason to change that? No. But I don't think that's applicable to what he's talking about,
Yeah.
in the games media landscape.
I don't understand. Yeah. My point being, why are you cheering because someone who is just doing their job loses their job?
Because they've been successfully rage baited. And now it's defined. They lost at some point.
They are the sheep that need to wake up.
Basically, yeah.
Got it.